Greetings and salutations, travelers. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussions. This time, we're in Sci-Fi July, and we are talking about, as you might have guessed from the thumbnail, Digimon. Monster friends to the boys and girls. That's right.
Hey Digimon, hey Digimon.
Yeah.
Yes!
That's right, spoilers for the rest of the month. This whole month is something from that song in the thumbnail. So there you go. I couldn't use it for the main song for conversions later on because it was way too specific to Digimon already. So
fair enough.
I had to use it for thumbnails. But that's not what we're talking about just yet. We are going to need to do our introductions and our announcements. So before we start up, let's go ahead and roll to see who's going first. Per my screen, Dan is on top. Roderick, who you'll be hearing about in a minute, is in the middle. And these first two chats, we're going to let him go last because he is also our shout-out. So it's going to be between Scrat and Dan.
As it always should be.
All right. It's Dan.
Ah.
All right, so get ready, Dan. You're on deck.
I'm ready.
All right.
You tell me when, boss.
Well, I'll start us off like normal. I am Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads and the Gentle Voice Ministries, which you can find at Gentle Voice TV on YouTube and Rumble. You can also find the Inn of Planar Crossroads on YouTube and Rumble. We mirror our content for both of those, so it's either one that is your preference. Let me see. This is July. I don't think there's anything specific to bring up for July as far as announcements. We're not to any specific milestone yet or anything, so we should be good. I just encourage you to enjoy this Digimon chat because I'm going to. We've been waiting for a couple years to have some fun with this type of chat. However long Dan and us have been chatting. So,
yeah.
However long he's been on Around the Hearth is about how long. So, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Dan real quick.
Hello, everybody. Dan from Avenue Studios. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. We stream Saturdays, usually 9 p.m. Eastern, and we do Druid's Table, where we do news and reviews, and then we do live plays, or we're starting back up our Maps and Chill, where I just hang out, build maps, and chat. So that is us. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to talk about Digimon.
Yeah. And that means Scrat. What about you?
That's me. I am Scrat from A Squirrel Plays, and I am over on only YouTube, and I'm making videos about storytelling and world building. And in those videos, I do try to make separate points both for written stories and TTRPG stories because they are a little bit different at times. They have their differences, and I know that can rustle some jimmies when you say that, but it is what it is. And on the TTRPG side, I have been fortunate enough to get sucked in by the community, which means I get to do things like what we're doing here and review the occasional game, such as Wasted World, which I just did that one. That was fun. And sometimes some new software. So that's fun. Also, I don't know anything about Digimon, and I'm just here to take notes. So carry it away with this.
Well, fair enough. So that's the usual attendees with Dan and Scrat. And when Scrat said he was on only YouTube, I was like, uh-oh. What type of videos has Scrat started making here? I was like,
only YouTube.
But
Squirrels Gone Wild.
No,
only squirrels.
That's what the channel's named in the Discord. I have one. It's where you just post squirrel pictures. It's only squirrels.
All right. Well, if you want to go and look at only squirrels, go over to Scrat's Discord there. Join up.
There's some good stuff in there. I'm not going to lie. I will publicly confess I've looked at the only squirrels.
Yeah, that's true.
Scandalous. I know.
I didn't see no donations with your name on it.
I have a different username.
There you go. Now you know Dan's secret. Ooh, no. All right. Well, that means we're kind of to our third attendee, but our guest attendee, but also our shout out, our Levi's shout out. So, Roderick, take it away.
Hello, my name is Roderick. I am primarily a Digimon YouTuber. If you go over on my YouTube channel, that is predominantly what you'll find. I do a lot of family-friendly things over on the Twitch side of things as well. We do twice a week, we do Jackbox all day. We keep it family-friendly, completely PG, so anyone, any age can attend. You'll find me mostly there on Twitch and YouTube. I have usually 4 streams a week, I think, right now. Put up 2 videos, sometimes shorts over on YouTube. I've watched all of Digimon, all the movies, all the seasons. So I was brought on 5 months ago. I don't know, something like that. we first got talking about bringing me on to do this. So yeah, hopefully this will be a lot of fun. I don't talk way too much because I am passionate about this.
Well, it makes for good conversation. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Can't trust the squirrel to bring the Digimon deets. So, you know.
No, I ain't got the ball this time. It's all on you.
Yeah. So, we've got the dragon-loving Roderick with us this time. And he's correct. We've been planning this one ever since we got ever since I started with the themings being a thing. So that's been, like you said, several months. So this should be good. Best not delay then with that build up. Go ahead and grab your preferred beverages, dear viewers and travelers. Sit down around the hearth beside us. Place your feet, since it is summer, on the cool stone. And join us as we discuss Digimon, specifically monster friends to the boys and girls. Skål.
Oh.
Just gonna point out, mine was the only digital drink here, so
That's true. Oh, dude, yeah.
I'm going digital.
Dun, 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 dun.
Looks like he's being disintegrated, but all right.
Yeah.
It does make me think season 3, right? When you beat one of the Digimon.
That's like
absorbed. Oh no!
Absorbed his power.
It's like. All right. Well, to be fair to Scrat, he said he's going digital. That's part of one of the songs too. So he's not totally devoid of Digimon knowledge. He knows that the Digimon 2000 movie had a pretty fire soundtrack. So
It was a great sound.
It's where like half the budget went.
I think so, honestly.
At least for the English side.
Yes, I was gonna say that is the English side on that. We could probably do a whole chat on that. Like when I found out how they made it, I was like, "Wow!"
Oh yeah, I've watched all 3 movies. That
Yeah, I have not seen the Japanese version. It's 3 different. Anyway, see, I'll go anyway.
yeah, I mean, when I found out about it, I was like, and I found out about the other ones. I'm like, wow, they actually made a movie that was better paced than the original 3.
Especially Hurricane Touchdown.
Yes. Ugh.
I got it.
I couldn't even. I just didn't even bother watching the Japanese one. It was so slow. And I get that a lot of Japanese media is slower than English media. It's just that one was so slow.
Oh, at Digimon Con 2022, they actually talked about how Hurricane Touchdown came to be, and it was supposed to be slower than that.
Oh, no.
But because it was a summer blockbuster, it needed more action, so that's the remake they did. And I'm like, oh my god, what was the original?
Well, like Dan said, if we keep on the movie, we'll be talking for a while. So let's get focused. So this time, we're talking about Digimon for your TTRPGs. And as such, there are some player-made hacks for Digimon. There's Digimon Digital Adventures, which you can see. I'll try to have these actually linked in the comment section, in the doobly-doo. That's what it's supposed to be called. I'll have that linked there. There's also Digimon World Beta. This is version 1.0.3 is what I have a link to. It has some neat little art in it. And then Digi-Destiny, which is a supplement for Kids on Bikes system, which I do know that there's someone in the Humulos Discord that has used that before. So
Yeah, I have played a lot of Digimon Digital Adventure personally. I don't know how much we want to get into systems. I assume we're doing worlds here, so.
This one's more of the world building chat, but these are some that you can use if you want to check those out, people. Some key points before we dive into the multitude of pages that Roderick's notes contain.
Oh, I got to make sure I have that up too. Thank you.
7 pages worth.
For me, when I think about Digimon, some key points are the types of games could be separated into about 3, which are, there's the separate dimensions version of the digital world and the real world. There's the computer worlds versus a digital type of world inside of a computer version of the digital world and the real world separation. And then there's just the outright supernatural, which is something we get really heavy in the most recent video game of Survive. So those are 3 separations you can make within your game and choose from. And when it comes to doing Digimon in the game, you have a choice of either changing into Digimon, taming Digimon, or being a tamer. And then there's also the option of merging with Digimon that we see a little bit played with in the Megas of Season 3, and perhaps another place that Roderick might know that I don't.
It was briefly touched on in Data Squad, the 5th season.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's right. What's his face punches things.
Okay.
Yes, that season. Yep. It's not actually the main characters that do it. It's one of the villains, actually.
Oh, well, that plays into one of my other points for later on. There you go. And then,
well, there you go.
If you want to have that really characteristic Digimon feel, use surreal placements of objects within your descriptions of the setting. That's very characteristically Digimon across the media. So
many of the seasons, yeah. So that's a fairly common one.
All right. Well, now that means we can jump over to the notes that Roderick has, since he's got a bunch. So.
Oh yeah, this is great.
Now, would you like to dive in and pick some things specific that you wanted to make sure got mentioned?
Sure. I mean, always remember, whenever you are creating a digital world, it is always changing. Whether you are looking at, like you said, a cyberspace like Eden from Cyber Sleuth, or you're looking at the digital world, there are so many rules that even if you're someone who's not as familiar with it, make something up, and likely some season has done something like it. I mean, a really fun thing that I found in tabletop RPGs, I've done a couple of it, is the time dilation that happened in the very first season. You don't have to do it as insanely as they did it in the first season, but even if you make it so that, 1 hour is a couple hours in the other one, just enough that it's a little different, especially if you make it that they can bounce between the 2 worlds. I don't know if you can hear my cat there.
That's no worries. The displacer beasts don't count towards negatively in the recording. So
yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a lot of fun, because if you can bounce back and forth between the worlds as well, you can use it to your advantage or disadvantage, and things like that. There's always also, within the digital world, there's also, Wichelny, Iliad, these things that we've barely touched on. There's other worlds within the digital world. So if you want to do the supernatural or more magical, there's a place in Digimon that's made to be magical. You could go and do crazy things there that, don't necessarily add up with the rest. That you could change a whole lot of that. Even just simple things like in Tamers, where it goes from night to day in seconds. It's just a sudden switch. It's not something that, the sun slowly sets and rises. It just happens. Just creating these little things do a lot to help people realize it's a different world. Especially if you're doing the classic where they get isekai'd into the digital world and your humans don't really know much about it. So to show them just how different it is, or to go into Crossroads where literally the entire world is broken up into these tiny zones there's 207 zones. Somebody will correct me that remembers. I don't remember exactly how many code crowns there were offhand, but there's all these little zones, and this will work amazing for a tabletop RPG because it's literally go here, beat the boss, move on to the next area. It makes a perfect story. Or Appmon, where you're collecting a bunch of different things and to open a gate to get to somewhere you need to get. There's so many things that you can pull from.
Indeed, and I think
I can keep going, but I think that's a good start.
I think Roderick and I would both agree that Appmon is Digimon, just regardless of what some other Digimon fans might say. I think Appmon is Digimon.
I mean, it is different, but I mean, it still basically has Rookie, Champion, Ultimate. You can translate it over quite easily. I know they use different names for them. Like Super and God was the highest level or whatever, but
yeah, I see that God. That's awesome.
It's very Japanese, that's for sure.
Yep, standard Super Ultimate God.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, it's been a while since I watched that.
But I do think that
I love it.
I definitely have a preference for the type of digital world I prefer in stories, which would be it's very much season 3, very cyberpunky type of, there's this digital emergence type of AI or some other type of existence, which would be the Yggdrasil AI perhaps, you might say, is that making that up and stuff. So that's what I personally prefer, though I do see some of those, I wouldn't fault someone else having a preference for maybe, kind of like with the Eden one in Cyber Sleuth. It's very fuzzy in Cyber Sleuth how that whole thing works, but because that's not really the focus of the story. But it's like this technology is attaching over to another existence that just has a kind of a more digital type of existence than our current universe. So it's like cross-universal.
I mean, that's kind of what they're doing now with Liberator. It'll be interesting to see how much that is the digital world or if it's something else they made. We don't know yet.
I hope they go the AI route, but the pure digital route, but that's just me.
Well, like Digimon World 3, where they're trapped in a game of Digimon, and things like that.
Somebody mentioned capturing Digimon earlier. I didn't think they did that in Digimon, or is that something that comes later?
It's
depends.
Capturing, as you might think of in Pokemon standards, not so much really. I mean, maybe some of the games you can kind of think of that. I mean, Digimon World 2, you're shooting skateboards at high speeds out of a cannon at Digimon to befriend them. Have gifts. So
love me.
and then you have the Dakamon conscious to get them to recruit them. So
that's like Ark.
yeah. So I mean, some of the games do kind of that, but the anime not so much.
Okay.
I would think that
makes more sense.
Frontier has like the code scanning, and didn't Appmon have a kind of downloading or getting of that Appmon onto the device?
You could put them in your device just like they did in Cross Wars. Yeah.
So there is some like that. Because usually I have the digital
more, befriending than what you might think of capturing, but some of them do go a little more that route. Yeah.
I did like, as far as a world building, trying to keep it to the world building aspect, if you are going to have a bunch of other Digimon that they're fighting, no matter which one you go for, there's usually some concept of, maybe not in the supernatural one, but in the other two, there's this idea of absorbing data or information from another Digimon to get stronger. This is very much it's literally how Machine Dramon is in the lore created or made or something like that. He's either an Air Dramon or a Tyrannomon or something like that gradually got that data from other Digimon to make himself into the ultimate machine Digimon, or as he says. And that could be a really interesting thing for a setting that that would happen. And when we get to the second chat, I'll be like, how that might affect your characters, but
Well, what some people might not realize about digivolving is that is generally how it's done. The way tamers do it, by forcing the digivolution for a short time and going back down, that's the exception, not the rule. I mean, we see it all the time, so, as anime watchers, you might think that's the rule, but it's not. For, wild Digimon. For your characters, it could be, but...
And it does explain why wild Digimon would want to interact with a human. We're assuming that the characters are human, is to get that bypass.
Well, that's
a shortcut. Yeah.
Right. It's an interesting point because you could do a game where you're playing as Digimon. So
you play as the Digimon trying to find your Digi-Destined?
Oh, that could be a cool campaign.
Or just a Digimon World 4 where you are a Digimon part of an organization trying to save the world. Yeah.
If you want to be a Digimon wielding a... Yeah, I was about to say, if you did want to be a Digimon wielding a battle axe. Like a Guilmon wielding a battle axe.
You can do that in that game.
Yep.
He's not good at axes, but you can do it.
One thing I thought was interesting that Roderick mentioned with the time dilation, I think an option that Digimon gives you is picking some mechanics, because there tends to be those quirky things in the world for a game would become mechanics that you're playing within the game. And you may want to think about, are there a couple mechanics that I want to play with within the world setting? And that can help direct you into which Digimon style you're going for. Because I love the idea of the time dilation and having to not only use that as a tool, but also have to deal with that because the baddies could use it as a tool potentially as well. So that could be another thing, because I noticed in your notes too, you're mentioning how like random, especially I'm most familiar with seasons 1 through 3. That was like childhood prime. But like in the first one, you're really seeing those very random human items popping up in there, and things don't quite make sense. And there could be some mechanical thing behind that. So I don't know. I'm thinking that could be a good way to start. I'm always looking for where do you start with your world building. And sometimes it could be I want to play with this theme and or mechanic within the world, and then flesh it out from there.
I mean, a cool way they did the buildings and stuff in Digimon Survive is it was actually pulled from human memories. Is why there was a bunch of that kind of stuff there. Or it could be, pulled from a hard drive or just a server somewhere that it was created from.
Yeah, oh man,
I like
you
to
can get dark with it now too with AI, like Adam said. It's like it's just pulling from the internet.
Yeah, well, that actually leads to a lot with TTRPGs. You can do a lot deeper stories than they're allowed to do in kids shows and stuff. And
sure,
depending on your age range and stuff like that, you can have a lot more serious stories. The most serious one that I've seen so far is Survive, as far as what goes on in it. But
it's hard to beat that one.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that one. But I'm wondering if it meshes with the one character I'd mentioned you guys had played was basically taking Rio from season 3 and Justamon, and making it more realistic. Like, what if a kid did get sucked into the digital world? Like, he felt he had to go there and leave his family, and like, so it was very cyberpunky, a little darker in that he did this and he chose to do it because he's meant to be with this Digimon. That's one of those themes you could have a lot of fun. I love the Digi-Destiny idea, although it is a curious thing to think about from a TTRPG standpoint. Building characters stuff. I think that's more for the next chat, but
yeah, who or what chose them? That's a big question.
With
why? Yep.
Well, you get into the first season of Digimon is homeostasis is a balancing program within the digital world. It's a little fuzzy whether that's it's kind of meant to be a different dimension type of thing. I don't think that's what they originally meant, but it's what they led into with Digimon 1 and 2 as far as seasons. And so there's this kind of pseudo back and forth on it. So this homeostasis picks them, and then their partners were literally crafted digitally to be counterparts for them.
Yep.
And that's what the crests are for, to be able to get past those Digivolution points and act as data that could be used for that Digivolution instead of having to absorb tons of data. So there's those options.
Very few seasons go into really that after that. There's very few, like, why are you chosen? It's very rarely gone into. Crossroads did. I mean, Data Squad just like, here, have your Digivice. So.
Yeah, Tamers did a little bit as far as, like, it was more that they were the kids that stepped up and not necessarily...
I like that.
They were the kids they were the heroes they needed, not necessarily the heroes are they the heroes they deserved and not the ones they needed, or something like that. Whatever that
we really
quote
needed
goes.
Suzy, let me tell you. She added so much. I love Suzy.
If without Suzy, I wouldn't have Antilamon, and the Lopmon line is my favorite Digimon line. So
I love Lopmon.
Yes.
But
I'll tolerate Suzy if I get Lopmon.
yes.
Wow, all right.
I had a little sister. It's not that bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
Jerry makes up for it all.
Oh, poor Jerry.
The Jerry storyline, Leomon.
Where it truly became a running gag.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Yes.
But things like
Leomon.
that, like the D-Reaper stuff and things along that line, you could do a lot with that in a TTRPG setting. Especially, it is tricky when they start coming into the digital world, but I understand from the digital world into the real world, because transferring your consciousness into the digital world is a lot more, let's say it's easier to interact on a mental level in a digital world than it would be to take something that's completely digital, and then bring it into a physical existence. You would have to have some kind of thing. So if you get too scientific-y on it, you're not going to be messing with Digimon anyway. But
probably.
Unless you do
run
like
up and punch them, it's fine.
Unless to tie into one of our previous chats, you do genetic engineering gone wrong, and they're kind of using these AIs or implanting into physical bodies that they're genetically engineering from a lab. I mean,
oh, dude, see, this is what I'm talking about. World building. That's exactly, if you want to do that kind of theme, that could be so cool.
Wicked, to borrow from the early 2000s.
Yes. But then that could be an option too, where it restricts it, versus something like Pokemon, where you have them, they kind of naturally exist. There's some kind of animal, vaguely sentient, whatever. But with Digimon, having those unique ones that pair with a person, if there's some kind of genetic mutation going on and there's a parallel digital world and those things are kind of passing back and forth, you have that one-to-one, which is pretty cool. I like that idea.
All right. Well, we are at about 30 minutes. We've been going so far for 30 minutes on world building. So we're going to need to come to final thoughts. And let's see, we will roll for this one.
All right.
All right. There's 4 of us, so I'll use my D4.
They come in that size?
Dan, you are on fire tonight. It's you, so it'll be Dan, and we'll go down. So it'll be Dan, Roderick, Scrat, and me. So final thought.
That's good. Sorry, I'm distracted. I don't know if there's fireworks going on outside or...
We can't hear it, so it's okay.
Okay, good. Anyways, the digital world is opening up. I'll be sucked in shortly. Yeah. My final thought... My final thought is... I think it goes back to that one thing I was mentioning. Look at one of the biggest things with Digimon is there's some kind of theme that really, and anime generally does this. So the theme flowing through it that everything that happens kind of ties into that. So really think about that for selecting your world, and as well, character development is to me one of the big things in Digimon, because you have those small groups of people. It really is a party. And if you're doing Digi-Destined, you have a very intimate relationship between the Digimon and the Tamer or the Digi-Destined that's going to grow. So depending on how you play with that, I think we'll talk about a little in the next chat, but how you play with that really leaning into that character development and those moments together as a character and different things happening to them, all relating to the character story arcs as well as the theme. So I think building a campaign and a world setting that invites the players to be a significant part of the whole game you're playing. Again, that's a little probably more, the early seasons of Digimon, but that's my preference to do it that way. So that's one option to think about.
All right.
That's to me then.
Yep.
Okay.
Tag, you're it.
So, Digimon, digital monsters, it's the digital world. I love leaning into the fact that it is a digital world. What can you do with that? Looking at Digimon Adventure Tri, the world was rebooted. What the heck could you do with that? I mean, oh my gosh, especially if your players were involved with rebooting the world and somehow could affect it. I mean, that they could have so much fun because you could give them the keys and build the world together. You could really do something like that. In Ghost Game, it was infected with the GRB or this virus. And, we think of virus, oh no, cough, cough, it affects us. What if a virus affected the world, could corrupt the very world itself? You can do so many things like this. There's flying cities. There's all these random things around. Some of them have circuit boards in the sky. Could that electrocute you if you got too close? Or, could you possibly meddle with those? Embrace that it is a digital world, and whether that's how you interact with it in the real world or how you can interact with it. I mean, when you're in the digital world, or can you interact with it while you're outside of the digital world? Because we interact with digital stuff all the time. Is there a way you can affect it outside of just literally being there?
All right.
Great points, man.
Okay, Scrap, what you got?
Let's see.
Good start.
First, I have a question.
Hey, Scrat, we
do have
talked
a couple
about this. No questions for final thoughts. You get one pass. What's your
I need
question?
to know something. The way humans can do the digivolving thing is that makes them special. I don't know how that works, so I'm going to ask: is that something that can be forced? So if
Oh yeah,
a bad Digimon were to capture a human, could he use that to force digivolve himself or something?
it's not been done, but potentially. There
There's
are bad Digimon that seek out humans for trying to
really
get that.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was one point. Was going to be I feel like that'd be an interesting plot point for your game. It's okay, there's these Digimon who figured out, hey, we can go capture people and lock them up and get whatever we want out of them to force the Digi evolving and make ourselves stronger. And of course, there would be a rebellion against that. Then you'd have humans that you'd have to deal with hating all Digimon, and then you'd have the good Digimon trying to keep the peace and yada yada and all that. But the other point I wanted to make was pretty much what our Digimon guru was talking about how it's a digital world, and you have, I feel like from a writing perspective, that you have a lot more freedom there. And we've talked about things like this in soft magic and hard magic discussions before. I would feel like the digital world is very soft magic in the sense you just have so much more freedom to do what you want and don't have to really explain too much, because it's kind of this totally, it's not like, okay, here's a magical world, you know what rocks and stuff are, so those function the same. But in a digital world, I mean, you can just have chunks of land floating there, and it makes perfect sense. You don't have to say, oh, it's this magic crystal holding it up. It's no, this is a digital world. This is how this works. You can jump up 10 feet and you will flip over and then hit the bottom of that island because gravity's totally different here. Things like that. So, and I feel like it would work better. It would make more sense. It would be weird, but it wouldn't be too jarring in a sense. It's hard to follow. If that makes sense. But that's fine.
Super depends on your system you're using, but yeah.
Well, yeah,
Sure,
that too.
right. Player suspension of disbelief would be pretty easy to stretch when you say digital world.
Yeah, and you can bring them back into the real world from time to time to reground them and kind of throw them for a loop. Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
I love that forced Digi-Destiny idea. That's a pretty cool idea. They should probably do a show on that sometime.
Well, there is always dark digivolution that they talk about, so that's a constant threat.
When he said force, that's what I was thinking at first until he kind of flipped it.
Yep. All right, so I guess it's my turn. I guess my final thought will be, I had one and then it escaped me. I'll probably catch it again in a minute. But I think going back to the core points, you're going to want to kind of pick one when you're playing as a TTRPG. You're probably going to want to pick one of those and not try to fuzzy it up too much as far as the Digimon and what you're doing with them. So you've got we listed 3. There may be a few variations within them of the types of worlds that the digital world is, and then the types of Digimon that are going to be interacted with for your players. It doesn't really matter if there's other Digimon that don't fall into that. You want to define what your players are going to be. I've seen people mix, and it's not too terrible to do it in TTRPGs, mixing becoming Digimon with taming Digimon type of thing. But I think if you want to really tell a cohesive story, you might want to go ahead and say, okay, guys, this time we're going to tame Digimon, and this time we're tamers, and then the next time we are the Digimon, maybe like Frontier or something, and so on and so forth. Because you can have a lot of overlap that starts to get really fuzzy. So if you're if this PC becomes a Digimon, can they then be tamed by the other player? So you have this problem.
You are so right. That's going to happen.
So you have this kind of situation that rises up. I don't remember what it was, but I'll save that for the next chat because I have it actually as a note. So I'll remember this next chat. It's in my key points. But that's my final thought for this time. So, all right. You guys got any input on that before we get our outro going?
Season 4 is terrible.
Boo. Now, I would dispute that a little bit. Saying it's terrible is a little bit of an exaggeration. Because I've caught pieces of Ghost Game. But
I have not, so I don't
Ghost
have.
Game's just boring. That's the problem.
But that's the worst kind of terrible for an entertainment show.
Yeah, it's just meh is the problem. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just meh.
It's meh, which makes it forgettable.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Fair enough.
Which season was Metal Edamon in and Puppetmon or whatever?
Adventure, the first
Adventure.
one.
Mm-hmm.
That's season 1, season 2, or is that
Season 1, second arc, or something like that.
Season?
Third arc.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's the Dark
dang.
Master. This is the final arc. 4
That's one little piece I remember is the banana slip. Too much of a wax to build up.
Well, okay, to be fair, like final point, if you're going to have an Edamon in your game, it has to have an Elvis accent. It just has to.
Done. You do a really good one. Scrat's from Elvis territory. That's why.
I am, and I've been all down Memphis today. I'm so tired.
All right, well, with a tired squirrel there, our outro has begun. So we hope you have enjoyed hanging around with us at the end of Planar Crossroads. You can check us out at YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, and Rumble, or you can just go to our website page, endofplanarcrossroads.com or theiopc.com. Either one of those should work, and we have our links right there for you, including how to support us. You can also go over to avenuestudios.media and check them out. They have their YouTube, Rumble, Patreon, and Locals links there for you, as well as a listing of their shows. This is something we can say. As of recording, they're just about to air this Sunday their epilogue episode of their long-running game. Did you?
Yeah, because it's Friday, June 14th. I had to move it. You gotta wait one more week.
No!
But that's when we're doing a live. I mean, it'll already have happened by the time.
Yeah, by the time this comes out,
we're doing a live stream on it.
Go back and watch it though. You can watch it all the way from the beginning and just binge watch the whole series, like 5 years worth. 5
years of content right there.
So you can check them out. Also check out A Squirrel Plays on YouTube, as well as Roderick on YouTube and Twitch. Yeah. And let me see. I think that's all. Oh, we didn't do a comment for this time. So kudos to you guys watching the outro. You'll actually get the comment of this particular one. Let's say... I
like the Force Digi-Destined or something like that. That was cool. Or I don't know what.
Let's see. Roderick, Dark Digivolve 2, ... That's the comment. Okay, so that's the comment.
That's good.
So,
yes. Start a poll.
Because I ate too much ice cream. Is that what?
There you go.
You gave in. You ate too much ice cream.
No.
Now he's Dark Digivolve to Lactose-Mon.
All right, we joke, but there may one day be a Lactose-Mon. So.
That probably will be. Yeah.
All right. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Oh, Scrat, you're so on top of it with those.
Okie dokie. So, appropriate outro comment, I think. Appropriate outro.
That was great.
Yeah.
I mean, I could keep talking about all that. I had so many more notes, but we were at time.
It happens a lot. This one's gonna be the worst, though.
I'm keeping y'all on time tonight.
Wrangle those Digicats.
It's why I tried. I'm the guest here, so I'm trying to be, respectful.
I can wrangle the Gatomon every now and then if I need to.
I was gonna say I should have said Gatomon.
That's gonna be
not Talmon, okay. Thanks. No.
Gatomon
so much better.
I did always struggle that Gatomon's a champion level.
Yep.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Well,
it makes sense given what she went through.
Yeah, what she went through. I was just like, now I'm dissatisfied that like her ultimate's the same as Patamon's champion, kinda. I don't know. But I love it though. TK and Kari.
Yeah, they are the best pairing in at least the Digimon media that I've seen.
Yeah.
They don't do a lot of romance really in Digimon per se. It's not
really
it's focus.
It's not, and maybe that's what I don't know. I always like it. Just seems like they're just such a great team together.
They just seem
most of them, most seasons.
Yeah.
Some not so much.
Again, I'm the originals. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Well, TK and Kari seem to be just to be together and grow together, and they just were together. That was it. That's how I always saw it, and that's how they seem to always see it. So,
I probably read more into it than is actually there too. But they went through so much as children together that you just can't. That's a bonding experience you can't mimic.
Yeah, Davis never had a chance.
You can't. They effectively went through war together as children. Like
they were children soldiers together. Davis never had a chance.
Him and his noodle cart.
And since we were talking about Dark, the newest movie was Dark. I don't know how many of you've actually seen
I have not seen that.
I watched a synopsis of it because I was not going to pay to watch that necessarily.
It's O2. If it wasn't Digimon, I wouldn't have gone to pay and watch it, especially because, my channel. But
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stop this one.